Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Today on Gardener's World, you can see that the lesser common Drew is in full bloom.
Yeah, all right.
It's a nice shirt, mate.
Thank you, Alan Titchmarsh. Yes. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I was readjusting the sofa of dreams, and I happened to be wearing a floral print shirt.
It's lovely, mate.
So there we are. Birthday present from my wife. One of my favourites, and yeah. You caught me looking more like a hedge than the wonderful Drew that I am. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all right. I was you just brought up, mate. Is that both of us now being compared to hedges? And that'll mean nothing to anyone that's fairly new to Drewling Samantics. If you go back to, it's got to be season 1, surely.
I think it is.
I mean, months ago. There's a reference to a certain costume I had to wear at some point, and it is quite the story.
It's yeah, it is.
Anyway, yes, mate. Lovely.
There we are. Talking of stories, then bring me up to date with the story of your week, if you would, Mr. Dunning. What have you been up to?
As you're well aware, I've had a busy one. Lots of rehearsals, and finally culminating in the performances of A Stroke of Luck,
right?
So, which I was part of, and it went really well. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic group of people, very talented actors and performers. And we had a great response. The shows went really well. So that was lovely. And that was pretty much my week, obviously, because we were quite heavy on the rehearsals and prepping for that. But I do have, and this is a fairly unusual scenario, I've got something going on later today. So obviously we're recording at the moment. But yes, I have an exciting thing happening later. I am back on set for the house that Zombies built.
You're doing pickups?
Yes, we got final couple of sort of cutaways and scenes that needed to be added in at a later date. So should be my final day on set for this one now. So excited and obviously sad at the same time that'll be it. But yeah, I'm excited to be back on set with the production team and with my fellow actors. So that'll be a good laugh, I'm sure. But what about you, sir? How have you been?
Well, I'm very grateful that you've joined me this morning before shooting off elsewhere. But no, what have I done? I've had a press launch for the Panto this week, which is great. So got to meet all the lovely actors that I should be working with and directing this year. So that was a little bit of a departure. So there's quite a little bit of pressure on that. It was like, Dame, director, and I hope they're not disappointed. Do you know what I mean? So,
Dame, director, and disappointment, Drew.
Dame, director, and disappointment, all wrapped in one. Yeah. And I've had a little bit of medical role play. So playing patients with complaints for students that are student doctors. And their finals, that was done over Zoom, so that was interesting. And of course,
I don't think that came through. Or are you just ignoring the fact that I said dwarfism, but we'll obviously gloss over it because you.
I'll let that one go. You can have that one on me, mate. Yeah. But the most important news of the week is my lovely wife is back from her theatrical experience in Saudi Arabia. So I think we'll have to get her back on because there are some wonderful stories from her time out there and some wonderful experiences.
Yes.
I mean, she had a great time and the production went very, very well. But of course, being in not only a strange land and on tour, but there was the special circumstances that they needed to observe out there, shall we say? So but very and I've been doing another dinner theatre. We had some more immersive theatre for comedy dining. So nice full week, gently trotting through the week. So enjoy myself.
And it's nice to end it, of course, with a chat with you. And of course, I'm assuming
I was about to say, yeah.
So
absolutely.
Of course, we've got the beers on the go. So cheers, mate. Well done for a busy week.
Cheers, matey.
Cheers, everyone at home.
Well done on the play, Sam. Well done, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, most enjoyable experience. Now, actually, and I meant to ask you, mate, because I know something that you've been planning on doing for a while, and I'm wondering whether you did manage to achieve this week. Have you seen Bond yet?
No, I'm slightly annoyed because it's been a busy week and I haven't got to see it. Although I do want to go and see it with Verona because it will have a sort of a bit of a date night. But yeah, I'm a bit of a Bond fan. I mean, Daniel Craig's not my favorite Bond. I think they're great movies, and this one's had good reviews and a couple of mixed reviews.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to seeing this one. I mean, I loved Sean Connery was my favorite Bond. I liked what Roger Moore did because there was a cheeky glint in his eye, and I think Daniel Craig, the kind of gritty, realism of the modern ones, it kind of works well. He's not my favorite Bond, but I do like the film, so I am looking forward to it. A bit of a Bond fan.
And we're now it's a good week and a half since it came out, so it's certainly been going, and it's breaking lots of box office records from what I'm hearing. I think people are eager to see it, and particularly as it's his last outing. So I know really got out with a bang, like really kind of put it in as you expect. So, have you got? I mean, I've got quite a few sort of nerdy Bond fans, that friends that have been saying, "Oh, we should be this person. It should be that person to be the new Bond." So that one is I'm waiting to see that one play out. It's going to be very interesting. I'm intrigued as to what direction it might go. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Idris Elba is quite likely. I think he's definitely a big star. I quite like the idea of Henry Cavill as well. I think
there's an actor I really like. And towards the other one is Tom Hiddleston as well. He's in the mix.
Yeah, a little bit of a different, perhaps more sort of Roger Moore than Daniel Craig is.
I was thinking that's a sort of throwback to the Moores and the Nivens of
indeed. Indeed, for the real sort of stalwart Bond fans. But I mean, honestly, mate, I think there's only one realistic choice, and that is an actor called Sam Dunning, who I think would be an amazing Bond. He's not released anything suggesting that he's in the running, sadly.
No, I just had a little thought, a line that ran through my head then and made myself internally smile was, I would love to be sitting opposite you as the villain stroking my pussy, but
oh God, Drew. Right.
But if you're a Bond fan, you know that. Yeah, I have to say I do have a Bond story. I do actually. That as you know, Verona and I in the past that we had an events company. We're still having a small scale, but we used to put on quite big corporate evenings, and we did some medieval banquets, and we did 2 Bond nights. But one I remember in particular. Is that we went full out, and it was at the Swan in Wickham, and they have a big theatre there, and a big
lovely venue, really lovely venue,
big venue, big function room, and so we had the stage up, and we had a friend of ours come in and choreographed some dancers as our Bond girls. We had a big car pull up with a red carpet outside, and years ago, I did some Doctor Who spin-off videos, DVDs, and from that we met a bunch of guys who we nicknamed the Gun Bunnies, and they're all ex-army, and they do military recreations,
right? And
they're very good at it. And our Bond evening opened, and it was fabulous. It was such a good opening. I was so proud of it. And Verona and I were playing various villains, but basically stage managing the whole event.
Yeah,
the car pulls up. Bond comes running through, backed with a couple of guys behind him with semi-automatic guns, which were actually lasers, which sprayed lasers across the room, which looked great. And then from 5 or 6 different points, different beams around the space, abseiled down these guys with the Gun Bunnies who were shooting across. We had flashing lights going and everything. And then this guy just went, "My name is Bond, James Bond." And that was the beginning, and the music cracked in. And it was for, I can't remember the client. I would like to say it was for Hyundai, the car company. I think it was, but maybe wrong. Can't remember now. But it was the client. In fact, it probably was. There was this huge cheer came up, massive cheer from all the crowd. And the girls started dancing on the stage, a big stage, a massive slash curtain. And I remember standing there going, oh, it's quite good, this. And Verona and I looked at each other and we went, we did this. Obviously with loads of help, but it was like, we did this. And it was one of those moments, I got a real shiver up the spine when the Bond music started. And it was, the hairs on the back of my neck went up. And I went, I remember that being a great night. And it all went really smoothly. We had no cock-ups or anything like that. It was just a bloody good Bond show. Although at the end of the night, we'd stuck the red carpet down with double-sided carpet tape in the front, in the foyer, so no one could trip over it. And it took me an hour and a half to scrape the carpet off the floor. That was the only cock-up. But yeah, having done this massive night, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and there I am with a paint scraper scraping off double-sided carpet tape off the floor.
That's the glamour.
That was the glamour.
It for. Not the flashing lights, not the cheers, not the adoration. It's the cleaning the carpet afterwards with a
But yeah, so that's my little Bond anecdote. There you go.
And do you know what, mate? You mentioned the word anecdote. I was actually thinking, so last week we had the brilliant Jos Norris on. If you're listening or watching now and you haven't checked out the episode, go and see it. Absolutely. Very, very talented guy, brilliant stand-up comedian. And he had many stories to tell, including a fantastic anecdote. And when we have guests on, or historically as we've had guests on, we've always asked them to bring some sort of anecdote or a funny story or sort of a behind-the-scenes kind of tale that might shock or surprise or just something hilarious. But I think we haven't done it for a while ourselves. So
no,
in season 1 we had sort of an episode about like funny stories or stuff on tour in particular. But I thought it's been a while, and particularly if we've got new people for season 3 or people who haven't sort of followed us all the way through that don't know quite so much about us or whatever, I thought it might be quite nice to throw a couple in. So I'm going to put you. I'm going to literally put you on the spotlight. Drew, give us an anecdote. I know you've just done it, but I'm going to make you do it again. Something unique, weird, wonderful, funny. What have you got?
I've done quite a bit of touring, as you know. Yeah. I was trying to think of the complete opposite to James Bond and all the beautiful locations that Bond is, Monte Carlo and desert islands and stuff. And I just suddenly thought of Llandudno.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Very good. That's in Welsh Wales, isn't it?
It's in Welsh Wales. Yes, neither of us can do the accent, so let's step away from that. But I got a couple of tiny little stories about Llandudno because it's the most unlikely place. And I've been there quite a lot of times with different shows and different tours and things. It's ridiculous. It's like, where have you been? Quite a lot. Llandudno. But I went with, I did a really weird booking with Ed Wells, who is Edmund Wells, who's a Basil Fawlty lookalike. And he's great, wonderful performer. We've been working together for over 25 years now. And he rang me once and he said, "Oh, what are you doing in a couple of weeks' time?" He said, "I've got a bit of an emergency booking on a caravan site in Llandudno." And I thought, okay. And basically, it was a caravan site with 400 caravans, mobile homes on it, and they had a bit of an open day, and it was a fun day, and they had a fun fair, and we kind of opened the day, and all these people are standing there going, "Who are these guys, and what the hell are they doing here?" So we were sort of like onto a losing streak, and we spent most of the days wandering around, being silly with people, and it was a very pleasant way of spending the day. We had a spot at lunch, and the guy in the restaurant said, "Oh, yeah, we're open this evening if you want to come in for dinner." So we finished the day about 5 or 6 o'clock, got changed, and went for dinner. And the building had changed. suddenly this caravan site in Llandudno had gone from being this wonderful family affair to actually quite threatening and quite rough. And they had bouncers on the door of a caravan site restaurant.
What?
And they said, you notice I'm not naming the caravan site. There are many in Llandudno. But there was these guys with, with the old sort of doorman's ID badges. And we went, we haven't booked. Is it okay to come in? And this guy just looked at us and went, don't come in here. Don't come in here, gents. We go, why not? He said, oh, no. No, he said, he looked at his watch. He said, oh, yeah, in about half an hour's time, it'll all kick off. He said, there's fights and bottling. And I said, but it's a caravan site. He went, no, don't come in. No, you don't want to come in. You look like a couple of nice blokes. Don't come in. And so we were ushered away from a restaurant on a caravan site in Llandudno. And sure enough, we drove down into town, went to a little fish and chip shop on the seafront, had a lovely fit and drove back. And we got back about 9:30, and there were about 4 or 5 police cars outside this bar on the caravan site, which next morning when we got up, we went for breakfast. It was like it had never happened. It was just bizarre. But yeah. And the other one is I was driving out of Llandudno after having done a production of Wind in the Willows. And I've got my wife, Verona, in the car with me. She was also in the show. And the stage manager.
You've got to tell us who you were.
I played various. We played Weasels and Stoats, and I played a ridiculous policeman who arrested Toad. We played loads of just extras, really, but loads of roles. Rabbits,
ensembling, basically.
Yeah, we weren't the main characters.
Right.
But we were driving out of Llandudno late at night. We'd just done the Get Out and going down the big hill. And the fan belt on my car snapped, and watched the temperature gauge just woofed to into the red. So I turned the engine off and literally cruised down this hill, turned a corner, and in a lay-by was an AA truck.
No.
I was just honest, and I just went, I'm a member of the AA. And it was like, it was a miracle. And we literally pulled up behind, cranked the brake, and I went, you've got to help me. He went, oh, I've just finished. I'm just off duty. I'm going home now. And I went, oh, please. He went, and at the time I had a little old Ford Fiesta, and he went, I've got a fan belt for one of those.
No,
and he fitted the fan belt. Seriously, he put this thing on. He was a bloody miracle worker. And we left there at like 3:00 in the morning to drive home. And I will never forget his name was Rex, and he was so if Rex ever hears this, the AA man in Llandudno who rescued 3 people at God knows what time of night it was. But there you go, Llandudno finished,
mate. Incredible, literally incredible, and like a place that most people will have never heard of. But so much character.
Made it. I've made it. I put it on the map now.
You have.
Yeah.
You have, exactly. I mean, I don't know where it is on the map. I know where Wales is. That's
Wales, mate. It's in Wales.
Yeah,
Welsh coast.
Yes.
Great all.
Yeah. But no, wow. So I mean, that's very much challenge set, challenge accepted, challenge completed there.
Yeah.
I think you absolutely nailed that. And I feel like I need to try and follow it, but
you've got to reciprocate.
Well, I don't know where to go. I mean, so what I was thinking is you never fail to make me laugh when we do this. It's such a great time chatting. I think we're mates and we see each other all the time, and we spend a lot of time together and work together. But I always look forward to the podcast as well, because this is an opportunity to kind of chat about things that might not necessarily come up in our normal conversation. Mainly because we're normally talking, moaning about stuff and work and being grumpy old gits, or taking the piss out of each other. But this is a chance to we always go on to different topics and get to talk about things that perhaps we wouldn't normally, which is amazing. And as I was saying, you never fail to make me laugh. But, and I'm sure you'll confirm this for our listeners and viewers, I'm very, very good when it comes to when we're performing at not breaking character and not laughing. So very rarely.
Oh no, you're very good. Yeah.
The term for anyone that's not familiar is corpsing, which is where you end up breaking character and laughing at something that's either gone wrong or something that you weren't expecting to happen, or something that was supposed to happen but just ends up being so funny that you can't quite hold it together. And it's obviously quite heavily frowned upon in most scenarios. I mean, if you're doing some serious Shakespeare or something and you end up corpsing, then it's really quite bad. And in the film world, you end up doing it again. Really,
got to do another take.
Often it'll appear in an outtake or a blooper reel or something. But we've discovered that quite often breaking character works well in live immersive theatre. Not excessively so, and not to the wrong point. But I've always found that to the right level, it works really well. However, this story I'm about to tell now was not one of those situations. As you know, and as many of our viewers, listeners may know, I've done a show by Oscar Wilde, The Importance of Being Earnest. And I've done it a couple of times, actually.
Great play.
It is a fantastic play. I really enjoy doing it. I love the show. It's very well written, very funny, etc., etc. And I did it many years ago, 7-8 years ago, I think it was. I did it in a lovely little theatre called the Drewling Theatre in Southsea in Portsmouth.
Beautiful.
And we also took it on tour a little bit, but this particular incident happened to be when we were in the theatre where we sort of originated our production. And there was a moment in it where my character, John Worthing, is being interviewed or interrogated, shall we say, by Lady Bracknell, who is this very pompous old lady, and I'm trying to woo her daughter, and she's basically checking out, am I good enough for her? And there's a ridiculous exchange of where she says things like, do you smoke? And I go, oh God, yeah, I'm sorry. Obviously not in the eloquent language that it's put in, but oh, I do smoke. And she goes, excellent. I like a man with a hobby. Or say it's just absolute ridiculousness. And there was a moment, and I can't remember what exactly it was, but to set the scene, I'm stood front of stage, right by the edge, looking dead ahead into the audience, terrified because I'm being interviewed by this woman who is sat in a very pompous chair with her sort of an umbrella and her bag and her hat and whatever else behind me. And then flanking either side are the other characters who were watching at this point. And I can just about, out of my peripheral vision, catch the two characters on one side and one on the other side, but not Lady Bracknell, because she sat behind me. And as she's doing these questions, which they're not funny in themselves, but the responses and that's kind of entertaining and hilarious to the audience. But then all of a sudden, the audience got really quite agitated, laughing a lot. And peripheral vision, I can see my fellow actors, and what they're doing is, you know where you laugh silently, and you're trying your best to hide it, but your body vibrates. You sort of bounce up and down, and you don't want any sound to come out, and it's almost painful, but you cannot help, and your whole body convulses. And in my peripheral vision, I can see my friend Tony, who was playing Algernon, who was sort of opposite me, and he looked like he was vibrating. He was shaking so much with laughter, and I can't remember who it was sat next to him, but she was laughing as well. And all the other actors are laughing so much, holding it together just about so they're not laughing out loud. The audience are in tears, and I can't work out. And then I chanced a glance behind me to see Lady Bracknell fighting to the death with her wig. Which, and just to put this in perspective, Lady Bracknell was played by a man in this production, which it quite often is. Not always, but quite often it's a man dressed as a woman. And my dear friend Richard Stride, who was playing Lady Bracknell, very talented actor and theatre director, he'd managed to either get his wig caught in his ruffled sleeve or on his bag or something, and he'd sort of attached himself to his arm. And he was fighting to release himself. And I can't remember exactly what the line was, but something happened. And obviously everyone else was pissing themselves laughing. And he said something to the tune of, well, I'm never having my hair done there again. And that broke everyone. Everyone was absolutely gone. And it's just a very kind of upper class posh lady played by this very funny guy, and he just probably the best moment in the play, and it wasn't even supposed to be there, and it's such a memorable moment for me because it came about in such a weird way because I couldn't see what was going on, and it's only because everyone around me started to just, well, they were all broken. So I pride myself on not corpsing very often, but that one, once I caught what was going on, that was a loss.
There's no way out of it. Yeah.
So there you go. So it's a very different kind of story to yours, but it's just such a huge, memorable moment, and it will stick with me for a long time. That one. So
it's nice. I like that. I love things like that, and particularly when you don't know what on earth is going on, and it's suddenly. It's when everybody's involved in it, it's beautiful. It's suddenly the audience and everybody's, you're all on the same. It's live theatre, isn't it? I mean, you're not going to get that, like you said before. If someone corpses on set, cut, go again. Yeah. But on stage, there's nothing. You've got to keep going somehow. You've got to keep going.
And speaking, mate, of keeping things going, we've been out and about doing some performing, keeping theatre alive and keeping it going, haven't we? And actually,
absolutely,
we said to our lovely listeners and viewers at the end of last season, and also at the beginning of this season, that we were going to try and take them on the road with us a bit more, or try and do a bit more behind the scenes, a bit more active things, so they could see and particularly hear just what we get up to when we're not sat in the studio chatting to each other. And we've been doing just that, haven't we?
Sam, we took a little jaunt down to Bristol a few days ago for one of our interactive shows. So without any more ado, let's take our viewers and our listeners down to Bristol and learn what goes on, what we actually get up to.
Hello everyone. So yes, we thought we'd give you another behind the scenes kind of segment to the show. Now, anyone that watched in season 2 will know that we've done something very similar before, and in fact we were on the road doing a show for the same company, for Comedy Dining, who we do a lot of our immersive dinner theatre events for. But this time out, something a little bit different, simply because last time we were still very much under the restrictions of the unwelcome guest. But now we're able to go back out on the road, back out doing shows again, and without quite so many restrictions. Obviously, we're still very careful and making sure that everyone is safe, but we're certainly not visored up as we were last time, or quite so spaced out. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Well, as Sam said, we are out on the road. As you can see, people are arriving behind us. We're at a hotel, beautiful hotel. That we're able to swing you around. Look at that. How gorgeous is that?
For anyone just listening, sorry, you have to go on YouTube to see just how beautiful it is.
Really lovely. But we're at a beautiful hotel down in Bristol, on the outskirts of Bristol, for tonight's show. We're outside at the moment. We've just unloaded the cars. We've just unloaded the gear into our green room. So we'll take you there in a moment to show you setting up the props and getting ready. And then we'll do a little bit through the show, and then we'll meet you afterwards. And we may even take you into we'll take you into the main room that we're working in tonight, the function room that we're in, which we haven't seen yet. No. So we have just landed. So we'll take you step by step through the evening, and you can watch us get more and more exhausted and more sweaty as the evening progresses.
We'll catch you in a bit. See ya.
See you in a bit.
So, as promised, we are now inside, and we're in the function room where we will be performing tonight. Yeah. And as we say, last season we took you to another venue, and here we are in tonight's venue. If you look behind us, if you are watching us, you see we've got half a dozen tables all laid up for about 10 people on each table. So we are still observing decent social distancing. We will be we perform around the tables as the evening goes. It's beautifully lit. Again, if you're watching us, if you're not, why not? Get watching us, get more out of us. But and I look great, I'm beautifully lit. It's quite dim in here. But we're ready to perform in this room. And Sam, tell them exactly what happens in this wonderful room.
We are in quite an intimate hotel function room. It's probably a good way to describe it, but that is perfectly suited because today what we're doing is one of our
British comedy TV homage shows, and in particular today we are doing Only Fools and Horses, and having a smaller kind of intimate audience is great because then everyone gets a decent view of what's going on and they get that whole immersive experience. They can see and hear everything, which is great. And what will happen is we have a 3-course meal, or the guests are provided with a 3-course meal throughout the performance, and we sort of top and tail each time there's a service, or they clear some plates away by doing a bit of theatre or a bit of the show around a storyline, and we bring that to them, and it's all themed around, in this case, Only Fools and Horses. So very shortly you might be lucky enough to see some familiar, or more likely hear some familiar characters. But yes, so we are prepping everything, getting ready to go, and next stop is to head back to our green room where we're going to be getting ready costumes, props and other things like that. So we'll take you there, and then we can have a look through, or we'll talk you through exactly what happens next. Okay, so welcome to our green room. What we do next is make sure that everything is prepped ready for the show from our perspective. So Drew is demonstrating for our YouTube viewers some props and costumes that we've got ready, as our next stage is making sure that we go through everything we've brought with us and set it all out in individual characters, which is really useful, particularly when we've got quick changes, because it then means things are ready to go and we've made sure that everything is prepped and ready.
I mean, each actor will probably play 2 or 3 characters a night. So, for instance, this is the famous sheepskin jacket that Del Boy is renowned for, along with beard there for Uncle Albert. So I play those 2 characters during the show, so I want to make sure that everything is there for each character, set it out, lay it out for quick changes. We've got Trigger's broom here. There are various wigs and props because we don't perform the show per se. There are scripts written for new versions. So these are surprise extra episodes with the quintessential pieces from whichever sitcom we happen to be doing. So tonight, as we said, is Only Fools and Horses, but this is a new Fools and Horses storyline with some of those famous lines and moments that you hear. So our next job. Lay it out, Sam. Let's get them out. Let's get them on the floor. Let's check through.
So we'll make sure that everything's ready to go, and then we'll go and liaise with the hotel staff and make sure that everything's ready from their perspective. Go over timings of the show and any other little bits, and also make any adaptations to script or to the set out that might need to be done with view to adjusting for the venue itself. So that's our next stage.
Right.
We'll
crack on.
We'll head off.
We'll see you. Maybe costumed. Who knows? Who knows? Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Halfway through the show, many characters down, and now Sam and I are in our main characters, our favourite characters to play in the show this evening. Now, for those of you, our podcast listeners, we'll give you a few clues as to who these characters might be. Yeah, you see, I have travelled all this way down to Bristol with my little brother in our 3-wheeled van to try and sell a few goods to the good people of Bristol. Yeah, and I'm looking for my talking of which, here he comes now, my favourite old mucker. How you doing, son?
Good evening, Derek. How are you doing, sunshine? Hello, everyone out there listening. Hope you are enjoying yourselves. And now, just a small mention: if you're in the market for a new motor, then please do get in contact as soon as possible.
I might even be able to flog you some petrol. You never know.
So I guess the thing about today's show is that, as Drew said, we're absolutely playing some of our favourite characters. But as we actually mentioned, I think it was a couple of weeks back, it's such an honour to be able to play amazing characters like these, created by such legends, such incredible, talented people. Yeah. As we say, David Jason, and of course the late great John Challis. But we're having a fantastic evening. The audience they're loving themselves.
Fabulous. It's a super venue. I mean, the staff here are great. The food is fabulous, and everyone's having a wonderful time, including our good selves.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's such a relief, as we've said, I think quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, to be back out working again, and particularly with things being sort of full flow again. It's such a relief, but also you can just tell people are out there loving every moment, it's a big advocate to show that people are really supporting live theatre and performance art, and just we need more people doing it. We need more people out there in the audiences, but it's certainly going from strength to strength, and we couldn't be happier about it.
Certainly not. Oh, and talking of audience, we ought to get back to it now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll catch up with you guys a bit later on.
We'll see you later.
See you later.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The end. A lovely show. Audience enjoyed themselves. We enjoyed ourselves.
Massively, yeah.
And we've done our job. The last thing was to put everything back into its suitcases and ready to go home, basically.
Well, yeah, so as you can see, we are all packed up and essentially ready for the next show. So I don't think I'm doing one next week. Are you doing one I think you are.
I am, yes. I'm doing a Mammy's Boys. I should be
Mrs. Brown's
Boys,
so,
yes.
But it means that we've got everything packed up, ready to go. And it's almost a fresh start, so we'll pick up next time, or in this case, Drew will do a show next week with a different set of props, a different set of actors, and a different part of the country. Yeah, yes. Exactly. So it's hopefully this has given a little bit of an insight into how we kind of work out a live immersive event. And with any luck, mate, we'll be able to do a bit more like this over the coming weeks during this season and bring a few more insights and behind-the-scenes sections to some of the work we get to do and kind of reveal the secrets, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit trick. But I mean, there are, as Sam said, this is only one of the facets of our work. So this is the immersive theatre side, and we'll delve more into this and reveal a little bit more. But yeah, we are off to other climes and other theatres and other styles of performance. So we'll open the dressing room door on those in the future as well, and have a revelation of that.
Well, yeah, but for now, I guess time for a Drewling Samantics staple. We better go and get a beer.
We better go and grab a beer quick.
And,
yeah,
we can hand back to the studio.
Brilliant stuff.
Cheers, guys.
Take care. Bye bye.
Well, Sam, I mean, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed seeing that again because it was such a lovely show, and I mean, it looks madness, from jumping from arriving to the actual green room and then going down to the performance space, the function room. But I mean, I hope people get a clue that we actually, although we may not appear, we are actually quite organised.
Yeah,
there are so many things that
are done properly.
Absolutely, there are so many things that could go wrong, and if it doesn't, you can be left, as we were in Gibraltar, you can be left looking a little red-faced.
Well, yes, yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I say, I mean, I'm always prepared. I'm a little bit, a little bit of sort of show OCD. I do try to prepare and I would say maybe sometimes over-prepare, but I do remember one time in a hotel in somewhere, I think it was in Kent, it was near Maidstone.
Yeah.
And it was quite a few years ago. I was doing a Fawlty Towers evening playing Manuel. And it was quite a big hotel, 2 function rooms connected by a corridor,
right.
And sort of glass down both sides of the corridor. So you could see into one function room, you could see into the other. Yeah. And when functions were working, they put curtains down so no one was disturbed. And I ran down the corridor and couldn't actually get out of the corridor. I was sort of lost in a glass, and I was looking through, and I could see the other function room totally empty, and I could see ours where the curtains were drawn, going, I want to be in there. I can't get in there. And eventually I sort of ran right the way around the function room. Whilst I'm doing this, the poor character's on, in the middle of going, Where's Manuel? Where's Manuel? We can't carry on until Manuel arrives. And Manuel's like going, I'm on my way. I got lost and stuck outside my own performance space.
Excellent. Yeah, good effort.
But also in the same hotel, as a little joke, they had a communal mobility scooter for people that weren't able to get around the building easily. Oh, God, it was like a little but it was like a little complimentary sort of, people would jump on that, whiz to the, if they didn't have one of their own. And we used to use this. We used to say to the hotel, could we use this for Basil and Manuel? And it was, Manuel was doing a kind of, this is before Uber, but I was doing a delivery service from the kitchen to the table via the mobility scooter. So it was like an early Uber. But to do this, I had to go from the kitchen, which was on floor 2, down in the lift to the function room, and out I come on the mobility scooter. And one day the lift didn't quite get all the way down, and the doors part opened, and you could just see me sitting on the mobility scooter about 2 foot high from where I should be from the lift landing. And so the doors were open, and I'm going, hello. I couldn't get out because the doors are only about that wide. So in the end, I got off the scooter, and Basil and Sybil and one of the waiting staff there prized the doors open wide enough that I could slip through, leaving behind the dinner that was for the guests. They had to get them another dinner, but for another hour, the food had to be manhandled from upstairs, bodily carried down because I got the lift stuck. So yeah, no preparation there, mate, and yes, highly embarrassed. There you go.
I mean, when it comes to embarrassment, I think it happens quite a lot when little mistakes are made. And I guess I can finish off with one embarrassing moment that I experienced, and it's something that will stay with me for the rest of my career, the rest of my life. Now, as you well know, I was in a production of The Full Monty, something that I'm hugely proud of and really, really enjoyed. And you're making faces already.
Well, exactly, because how embarrassed can you be in a production of The Full Monty?
So, and ironically, this embarrassing moment happened after the show. So the finale of the show, not to spoil it for anyone, but is 6 gentlemen who remove all pieces of clothing, bar boots and socks, and our end up stood totally stark bollock naked in front of a bright Full Monty sign which lights up, which turns them into silhouette, so you can't see anything, but blah blah blah. And just before that moment happens, you take your hat off, you place it across your private area, and you remove your rip-off G-string, and you take that off, and sort of then you wave it around your head, and then the final moment is where the light come on, and you fling your hat and your G-string up in the air, throw them, and you are stood. But obviously the lights come on so no one can see anything. At that point, lights all go down. Some very generous stagehands run on and throw dressing gowns at you so you can sort of cover up and blah blah blah. Curtain call happens, etc., etc. Show ends. We're all then back in the dressing room. We wait for the all clear to go back on the stage to then collect your costume that you have removed as part of said show, part of the finale dance number. And we're all picking things up, and they're sort of labelled so we know whose is whose.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things that could go wrong there, wrong sizes and God knows what else. And you put stuff back together, and I go, right, got my trousers, belt, hat, shirt, jacket, blah, 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 blah. Where's my G-string? Boys, has anyone picked up a spare G-string? No, I've just got mine, Sam. No, it's very funny, lads. Where's my G-string? No, honestly, Sam, we haven't got it. So a frantic 15 minutes, including which part of embarrassment number 1, stagehands, props managers and everyone on, where's this bloody G-string? Until one lovely young lady looked up and went, oh. And on top of said, it's got to be 10 foot high, Full Monty, bright light sign, is this solo little red shiny G-string floating up there. So yes, one of my biggest memories from that incredible show is having to stand sheepishly at the bottom while one of the techies climbed a ladder to retrieve my G-string from the top of the Full Monty sign. So there you go. Embarrassing, yes. Fun, silly, brilliant, without a doubt. So there we go, mate. But and I tell you what, it's been lovely looking back over some weird and wonderful silliness, I think.
Mate, I like that. I love that. Yeah.
It's been really good. But I suppose we have to move onwards and upwards. So in that sense, what have you got coming up?
This week, Verona and I, the people have met in previous season. We are planning a Halloween event, a pumpkin carving event. So we're going to go into pre-production for that. Well, production of that now, getting costumes together, pumpkins together, and planning the event for obviously the end of the month. Okay. So yeah, so we're cracking on with that this week.
Excellent.
That's my week. Pumpkin week. What's your week? What have you got?
I've got another busy one. Obviously, the show is now done, so that's sort of put behind and moving on to next things. But this week, a photo shoot. I'm back on the modelling.
Lovely.
Got a couple more immersive dinner theatre shows, which I'm looking forward to. And most importantly, preparation for another guest. We've got a brand new guest next week, who I'm very, very excited to speak to. Another area of the industry that we've not really touched on yet, so that'll be great fun. And
Brilliant.
Really looking forward to it. And of course, mate, looking forward to being back with you, chatting away, and having a jolly good time.
And of course, a jolly good
drink as well.
A jolly good drink.
But yeah, so cheers to you, Drew. Cheers to everyone
Cheers
at
to you,
home.
Sam.
Hope you've enjoyed today. We certainly have. And we'll see you next week with a special guest. Take it easy.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks again for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then please consider subscribing to our channel and you'll get notified every time a new video is released. Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app.
Please support us on other social media too. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe and we'll see you next time.